and that note. So if you have any questions throughout the conversation, please post them in the chat box at the bottom of your screen. However, if Loralee does provide opportunities for participation throughout the presentation, you are absolutely encouraged to speak up, so don't feel like you have to stay quiet. And if we run out of time to get to your question, we will follow up with the response in the next day or two. So that's also why it's important to please provide your email so we make sure we can get back to you. So now I'm just going to very briefly introduce our presenter. Loralee Sessanna, is a clinical professor here at the School of Nursing. She earned her DNS from UB School of Nursing in 2006 and has since dedicated her life and nursing career to holistic care. Loralee is board certified as an advanced holistic nurse through the American Nurses Association and is also a trained faith community nurse. She believes compassion, empathy, kindness, and valuing the beauty of everyone's unique talents and differences reinforces the need and importance of caring for the whole who. Thank you for joining us today, Loralee. And now I'd like to hand it over to you for your presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Grace, for that introduction. I am just absolutely honored to be here today to share this presentation with all of you. And we are all feeling a lot of stress right now. So a presentation like this really couldn't come at a better time, I don't think. And it has been no secret for a long, long time that nurses, for the most part, just do not take good care of ourselves because we're always so busy taking care of other people. And when circumstances like this happen, pandemics, it really just adds to the stressors that we are already feeling on top of, you know, everyday stresses and everything else. So thank you again for joining me today. The presentation really is how nurses can prioritize self-care during a pandemic. And as I was putting together this presentation, you know, the points that are in this right now, in this presentation, go for always. I don't think it's just during a pandemic. It's the pandemic sometimes, it just has brought out more of a need because of additional stressors. But these are things that we should be doing to help ourselves always. So it is a good idea to start out with what stress is. Stress is a physical and emotional reaction that people experience as they encounter changes in life. It is a non-specific response of the body to any demand for change. And under Seal's research, he is known as the father of stress. His research showed that even rats responded to chronic and persistent stress over time with the same illnesses as human beings. So when put under stress, they were coming down with heart disease, bleeding ulcers in their stomach and colon, shrinking of lymphatic glands and kidney damage, and even death. And I love this quote by him. He says, "It's not stress that kills us, it's our reaction to it." I think it's also important to differentiate that there are characteristics of stress, acute and chronic. So acute stress really are those things that are of short duration. They're a well-defined cause. We know what's causing it. It decreases with healing. It's reversible. It ranges anywhere from being mild to severe, maybe accompanied by restlessness and some anxiety. And some examples of that are meeting a deadline, are students cramming for exams, going on a thrilling activity or a ride, getting married, going through a job interview, or even getting a speeding ticket. And chronic stress is less. This lasts longer or is more detrimental to us. It lasts longer than 3 months. It may not have a very clearly defined cause. It begins very gradually and just persists. And chronic stress is exhausting. It really ends up not being helpful at all. It's useless. It can range from mild to severe. It may be accompanied by depression, fatigue, and decreased functionality. And examples of chronic stress include anything from financial issues and problems, relationship problems, caregiving burden, work-related issues, death of a loved one, and loneliness. And when we look at all of these examples for chronic stress, I think these are things that we're seeing in the time of this pandemic. I love this curve, this diagram. As far as stressors go, we have good stress, if that can be imagined. This is manageable stress, which leads to positive growth and enhanced competence and performance. And this eustress is when we have just that right amount of stress to get things done. You know, you have that energy and this kind of stressor that really helps you get this done. But distress is where we move past that positive kind of eustress thing. And it's that constant chronic stress and toll on our physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, every part of our body. And this is destructive, overwhelming, and prolonged stress, which leads to fatigue, exhaustion, poor health, breakdown, and burnout. So I like to start talking about stress. We do have some humor being nurses about stress and nursing. And I have about 4 or 5 of these that I really, enjoy presenting. Who says nursing is stressful? I'm 39 and feel great. When you've had 3 admits, no lunch, haven't peed in 10 hours, your patient pooped on your shoes and the charge nurse asks if you're okay. Me, upon reading that lavender reduces stress. That moment when you're just done. And nurse sitting down, clearly photoshopped. So, nurses, I think there's a lot of humor out there in kind of addressing that the reality is that nursing is a very stressful career to be in. But the reality is this is what we're seeing in the pandemic. The stressors in nursing have been taking such a critical toll on our nursing and healthcare workforce. We're seeing facial pressure injuries, chronic fatigue, burnout, compassion fatigue, and PTSD. It is becoming really, really bad. So the importance of taking care of each other and taking care of ourselves is so critical right now. When we're thinking about stressors in nursing, I think on top of the pandemic, we already had stressors that we were trying to deal with. So I'm just going to do a little bit of background of pre-existing stressors that we have been battling with. And then on top of that, remember the pandemic. So we have the nursing shortage. Registered nursing is listed among the top occupations in terms of growth through 2026. The projected RN workforce growth is estimated to grow from 2.9 million in 2016 to 3.4 million in 2026. There's going to be a need for an additional almost 204,000 new RNs each year through 2006 to fill newly created positions and retiring nurses. On top of that, it's estimated that 1 million nurses are going to retire by 2030, and that's not too far away. So what's going to happen with our retiring nurses is that the departure of such a long cohort of experienced RNs means that patient care settings and other organizations that depend on RNs are going to face a significant loss of nursing knowledge and expertise that will be felt for many years to come. On top of that, our nursing schools across the country are struggling to expand capacity to meet the rising demand for nurses. And according to AACN's report on 2018 through 2019 enrollment and graduation in baccalaureate and graduate programs in nursing, the U.S. nursing schools turned away more than 75,000 qualified applicants for BSN and graduate nursing programs due to an insufficient number of faculty, clinical sites, classroom space, and clinical preceptors. And finally, 50.9% of the RN workforce is aged 50 and older. The health of our nation's nurses is also a problem. Really, we're not practicing what we preach. We're not getting enough physical exercise. The average BMI for respondents on a survey that was held through Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation showed that the average BMI for nurses was 27.6, which is in the overweight category, and 18.5 to 24.9 is normal or healthy weight. We all know that nurses do not eat right. There's definitely a need for nurses to eat better. Only 16% report that they eat 5 or more servings of fruit or vegetables per day, and 35% reported that they eat 3 or more whole grain servings a day. That's even if we eat while we were at work. A lot of nurses are skipping meals. If they get a chance to eat, it's usually, sugary beverages or fast foods or something out of a vending machine. So we really need to do a better job with physical activity and nutrition. Rest is also a problem with nurses. The National Sleep Foundation recommends that nurses or those aged 18 to 65 years or older get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and 7 to 8 hours for adults 65 years and older. So nurses are reporting that 14% nod off or fall asleep while driving in the past 30 days. 12% reported having 5 or less hours of sleep, and 83% reported having 6 to 8 hours of sleep. So we're not sleeping. And my guess is that when we get home from work, long stressful days, that we're having a problem even falling asleep. Quality of life. This is across the board. When I was preparing for this presentation, I came across some statistics for nurses and suicide. Nurses are at a very high risk for suicide, 11.97 per 100,000, which is higher than the general population of 7.8 for females, and 39.8 out of 100,000, which is at a higher rate than the general population of 28.2 among males. It was reported that benzodiazepines and opioids are the most common substance used in nurse suicide, with a notation that that's most often for female. Males usually use firearms to complete the suicide. And in the survey, it was, nurses reported, a quarter of them reported feeling sad, down, or depressed for more than 2 consecutive weeks. 57% reported often coming to work early and or staying late and working through breaks. 33% reported being assigned a higher workload than what they were comfortable with. 70% reported putting their patients' health, safety, and well-being before their own. And 32% reported that excessive fatigue impacted their life quality. Nurses also report that they are at a significant level of risk at work. This is what they feel. 79% reported workplace stress as the most common safety risk. 58% experience musculoskeletal pain at work. 39% rank lifting or repositioning objects as a significant health and safety risk. 34% report being verbally and or physically threatened at work by a patient or a patient's family. About 1/2 report being bullied at their workplace in some manner. 35% identify needle sticks and sharp injuries as safety risks. 31% identify bloodborne pathogens. 28% identified infectious disease agents. I'm sure that's gone up since the pandemic. 27% identified unsafe staffing. 26% identified slips, trips, and falls. And 19% identified noise levels. What we're also seeing is this phenomenon called broken heart syndrome increasing. There's been a significant increase in broken heart syndrome. This is stress cardiomyopathy, and this occurs because of psychological, social, and economic stress, especially through this pandemic stress. 300 plus healthcare workers have died, thousands have become ill, and have had to self-quarantine because of known workplace exposures. Nurses working on the front lines report being mentally, physically, and mentally exhausted. 80% of nurses fear going to work, and they fear becoming infected themselves and then coming home and infected their family and loved ones. 36% of nurses have cared for an infectious patient, without adequate PPE. Many made the decision to leave the profession having felt expendable when required to work without sufficient PPE. Only 11% feel well prepared to care for COVID-19 patients. Nurses are reporting that there's an urgent need for education on caring for COVID-19 patients, proper use of PPE, how to keep safe while working, and COVID-19 testing. And 64% reported working short-staffed, and 33% reported surge staffing as an urgent need. So this is one of those moments for a group shout out. I mean, please feel free to unmute and share if you wish to. Has stress in nursing changed due to the pandemic? And what are you seeing and what are you feeling?
I'm going to speak from, I know I'm here in California, and right now in my area, we're having a significant surge. And I think the frustration for healthcare providers and as an educator is that people are not listening to the warnings that they need to wear masks and they need to not, be out there partying and social distance, they need to social distance, etc. And from the perspective of stress, that's caused stress for my graduates because they're entering a workforce that is very demanding, and it's not uncommon. Normally they work 12-hour shifts, and most of them are now working 16-hour shifts in, these heavy areas that have access to the different types of patients. But from the education perspective, we've had to go online, so we've lost that. It was interesting listening to everybody. It's good to see you. I wish I could give a hug. That's the same feelings our students are having. We were taken out of clinical mid-March for our OB rotation, and a couple of our sites let us back in at the end of May, and then through June. And I did a few clinicals to sub in, and the students were like, "Oh, it's so good to see you." And it's like, really? Because normally you just like, oh God, here comes that double instructor with a pop quiz, but it was, and we had to make changes. They had to, be more flexible. And I think as, in education, it's like they're used to us being available at certain times, being in our offices, being able to answer those questions. And now it's like you Zoom, and then I usually stay on and say, if anybody has anything or needs, let me know. But I think that's the big thing. And for faculty, it's frustrating because it added to our workload. It caused a lot of stress, for us, because we had to kind of flip within 2 days' time to being online. We had to adapt testing, and our students were, a little freaked out about, oh my God, now we have to do this on Zoom so that our teacher can see our eyes. So that's added to it, because normally my semester ends by mid-May, and then I have a few months to chill and download and kind of relax. That didn't happen this year. I went all the way till the 1st of July with those clinicals because I'm lead. And then I'm the one teaching in the fall all of the new curriculum. So I have 5 courses to prep. And so right now, what I'm feeling is stress, panic, exhaustion, anxiety, worrying if I'm going to do it right, because I want our students our new student, the incoming successful. So, okay, I'll stop. Maybe I summarized quite a few people. But it's scary. I worry about our graduates. I'm glad they're passing boards, but I worry about what they're walking into. It's kind of scary from that perspective.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. And, like I said, I think there's many different nursing jobs that we're all involved in, whether it's education or traditional, hospital nursing, clinical nursing, leadership. There's so many roles that we do out there, and it's just, it has impacted all of us. And, as nurses, we're very empathetic, and we're meant to care for people, and that human touch and that human presencing is so important. And we're really missing that. I mean, I'm really missing that, and it's hard. And I think for me, so many things have changed, and I'm seeing sometimes I'm getting angry and frustrated if I go out and I have my mask and my hand sanitizers, and I see people not doing that. And the nurse in me wants to say, please protect yourself and your loved ones and your family. So my husband is like, Loralee, please, are you going to say it again? Are you going to, say something? And it's like, well, yes, like, just please protect yourself, and sometimes you get sworn at. Sometimes people aren't too happy about that, but there's a lot of change out there. And, when I learned about the younger generation having COVID parties on purpose and all of these things that are going on, there's so many stressors. So we are seeing a lot of different things that are happening. It's been frustrating. I love Jean Watson. She's one of my favorite nursing theorists in the whole world. She's a holistic nurse and founder and director of the Watson Caring Science Institute. And Dr. Watson stated, nurses are a unique kind. They have this insatiable need to care for others, which is both their greatest strength and fatal flaw. And I think that's so true. As nurses, we forget again the essential and critical need to love, be kind to, and to compassionately care for ourselves as well as each other. And just a little, the information about the nurse suicide rates and what's going on with us. I mean, nurses have been at increased risk for suicide since 2005 and male nurses since 2011. So these stressors, when it gets to that point, it's so sad, but it just goes to show you that the stressors and everything that nurses are feeling have really gone unaddressed for a very long time. So what's going on? Nurses are starting to take action. There is a Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation Grand Challenge going on right now, and it is through the American Nurses Association ANA Enterprise, which is a family of organizations that consist of the ANA, the American Nurses Credentialing Center, and the American Nurses Foundation. And the vision of the ANA Enterprise for this is a healthy world through the power of nursing. So this Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation Grand Challenge is a social movement that's designed to transfer the health of our nation by improving the health of our 4 million RNs. And it was launched May 1st, 2017. And the Grand Challenge focuses on improving the health, safety, and wellness of nurses and nursing students so they can become more effective role models, advocates, and educators. When I last checked, there's 117,000 individuals reported participating in this with 510 partner organizations. And if you go on this website, if this is something that your organization or your school or your workplace wishes to take part of, you can sign up and become part of this Grand Challenge. So the Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation Grand Challenge was designed to connect and engage individual nurses and partner organizations to take action within 5 domains. And just what we reviewed before with the health of our nation and our nurses not taking good care of ourselves. The 5 domains are physical activity, nutrition, rest, quality of life, and safety. So the goal is to create a healthy nurse population and in turn, a healthier workforce that's effective, safe, and sustainable for healthcare, and also to promote role models of health and educators and advocates for health. So in other words, again, really to focus on practicing what we preach. We're really good at taking care of other people. We have to become really good of taking care of ourselves and each other. So when I talk about holistic care of self, what do we mean by that? So self means, self is a human being. You are a human being, and a human being is more than the sum of its parts. We really got to think of this. A human being is more than the sum of its parts because the pattern of relationships among the parts of the whole gives the system its own unique identity. So what this really means is we are all human beings and we have skin, hair, bones, blood, organs. We have all those parts, but we are more than the sum of those parts because we have our own personalities, we have our own unique identities. So we really have to appreciate that, you know, all of our uniqueness is what makes this world a better and beautiful place. And just to recognize that we are all different and unique and we have different needs and different healthcare needs is so important. Holistic self-care really is an approach of caring for self that embraces the importance of recognizing yourself as an intricate and multidimensional system that's comprised of physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual elements that all work together in balance and harmony. Holistic self-care does not entail only focusing on a particular disease process or a specific part of your body. It's taking into consideration that whole who, everything, all of those parts. Holistic self-care refers to the activities and practices that you engage in on a regular basis to reduce stress and to maintain and enhance your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Again, all of those pieces functioning together to promote harmony and balance. And in holistic nursing, when we talk about harmony, that's exactly what we mean, that there's a right balance and relationship among all of those elements of the whole system, by body, mind, and spirit. I always put this diagram up because I think it really helps. I'm a very visual person. In holistic nursing, when we talk about healing, healing means to make whole, to restore that balance and harmony by engaging in activities on a regular basis that reduce stress and maintain and enhance mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Disharmony happens when there's some chaos in a system, and I call this a broken whole who. When I was doing my master's degree way back when, my master's thesis involved interviewing pre-adolescents on what they thought taking care of a holistic person meant. And we talked about all those pieces of a person, mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, all of those pieces. And this 9-year-old girl, when we were talking about taking care of a whole person, she said, you know, Dr. Sessanna, when I look at the word whole, I see the word who in there. So when you're talking about holistically taking care of somebody, it means taking care of the whole who. And that was like, oh my goodness, I had never looked at that word like that before. It was so profound. And I promised her that I would talk about that for every holistic presentation that I've ever been honored, I will ever be honored to give. But that was so great. It's a broken whole who when there's disharmony in your system. And one of the most easiest examples to really promote this whole thing is, let's take mental and emotional piece of us. When you feel stressors in yourself, in that mental emotional component of yourself, it impacts all other pieces of you, your physical part, your spiritual part. It impacts everything. So there is this disharmony in the system. What can we do to help? Well, physically, we need to spend more time on physical activity. We need to substitute exercise solutions for excuses. You just have to make time. It is really important. And when you think about 24 hours in a day, to take an hour of your time to do yoga, mindfulness, some kind of exercise, walking, physical activity, whatever it is, to leave your work at home, leave it, and just do something for yourself. It is so critically important. I've been trying to take walks at night after dinner, and I leave my cell phone at home. Sometimes it feels very strange because it's like your fifth appendage now, but just take a break from work and do something for yourself. Engage in exercises without distraction or from electronics. Try to take stairs instead of elevators. If you can, park away from your destination, but make sure it's in a safe place, and walk. Try to take breaks outside on mealtime or walk in nature during your breaks. Stretch, just 10 minutes of stretching when you get out of bed, before you go to bed, just stretch. I know myself from working here at home in my den, by the end of the day, my shoulders are literally in my ears from being so crunched up from the stress of the day. Join physical activity challenges and classes, And I just came across this physical activity called forest bathing. It's Shinrin-yoku or ecotherapy. And this just means immersing yourself in nature and taking in the forest through your senses. So that's the other thing that I've been trying to do. We have some woods by our house. Just leave everything at home, take in the scents, take in the sights, take in the smells, feel the leaves crunching under your feet, whatever. Just try to immerse yourself in things, physical activities that are away from the desk and work. When I was doing the research for this, there are some free things that we can do online. There's Fitness Blender, Yoga with Adriene, and there was a YMCA health and fitness videos that are free, and all kinds of exercise videos that you can do. Feed your body well. Select healthier food options with whole and plant-based foods. Eat a diet high in antioxidants, yogurt, walnuts, cherries, blueberries, tart cherries, spinach, salad, orange vegetables and fruits, pineapples, avocado, chia. Chia is a good source of omega-3 fiber, iron, and calcium. It's an energy booster. Seasoned foods with turmeric, ginger, onions, and garlic. Those are anti-inflammatories. Of course, limit your caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, and any kinds of processed foods. Try to substitute store-bought snacks for homemade healthy snacks. Pack your lunches, your dinners at home and bring them with you. Plan and shop for healthy meals ahead of time. Read the ingredients and nutritional information on your food labels. You can take healthy cooking and nutrition classes. There are some offered online. And drink plenty of water, especially when under stress, and self-check yourself for dehydration. And when you look at this list of feeding your body well, all of these things really aren't things that we wouldn't teach our patients to do to take care of themselves. Let yourself rest. Limit and avoid caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol again before bedtime. I'm a terrible person. I love coffee and I love caffeine. That's something I personally have to work on. Again, turn off all electronics 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed. Consider room darkening shades and earplugs or white noise machines if that works for you. Establish a regular bedtime and wake time ritual. It is very important. I know a lot of us are working at home, that you do not work in your bedroom. You work in a separate room. Your bedroom is for peaceful rest and sleep. Get adequate sleep. Try for 7 to 9 hours a night. Create a sleep ritual. There's a lot of good aromatherapy options out there, such as essential oils. Lavender oil applied to the soles of your feet or the nape of your neck or your temples really does induce relaxation and promotes a reduction in stress. Peppermint, cypress, marjoram are good for sore shoulders, necks, and backs. You can take Epsom salt baths to help filter systemic toxins. Create a healing sleep environment that is cool in temperature and dark and quiet. Try to limit your naps to 30 minutes a day if you can, and avoid napping right before bedtime. Take breaks and try to meditate or do guided imagery. There's a ton of excellent apps out there that you can listen to and pick. Not everybody likes the same things. Those are kind of personalized, but there's a lot out there to choose from. With safety, protect yourself. Reduce stress that leads to toxic cultures, incivility, bullying, and workplace violence. We are nurses. We are compassionate, loving human beings. Promote and enforce a zero tolerance policy for bullying. You can participate and educate yourself in violence prevention or training classes. You can learn and practice conflict resolution and negotiation skills. Encourage safe staffing by participating in staff decision-making and professional collaboration with supervisors and administration. Follow proper sharps and patient handling procedures, policies, and guidelines. Participate in leadership teams, committees, organizations to promote safe and holistic work environments. I often wonder in the news media and the things that we're seeing during this pandemic, if more nurses could volunteer and have our voice out there, and be proactive. We are already doing so much, you know, what a difference I think that that would make. And get your annual vaccinations. Most importantly, promote your own quality of life. You know, try to use positive affirmations through the day. We are, you know, in our society, it's becoming a lot more normal, I guess I can say, to see a lot of anger and people saying bad things to each other, instead of just taking a deep breath and trying to understand how everybody might be under different stressors and we don't know what other people are doing. So always try to be kind, and also kind to yourself. And again, using positivity and positive affirmations. Try to cultivate mindfulness. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Our School of Nursing is blessed with Dr. Patty Nisbet. She's been amazing at you know, teaching us about mindfulness and how to cultivate this. We have some nurses that are doing some really excellent research about this. It's very nice to see. Mindfulness reduces cortisol, the primary fight or flight stress hormone. Try to practice presencing. This is really hard because we live in a society where we are thinking about what we did yesterday and how we could have done things better. We're also thinking about what we need to do tomorrow. We got so much on our plates that we forget to be here and now in the present. Take time for you. Exercise it, self-compassion, stay connected. I know we were talking a little bit that Zoom, you know, it most certainly doesn't take place of that presencing in person, that human touch and connectedness. And I think we're all feeling that also. I know I am. But telephone conversations, you know, conversations with neighbors, with social distancing, whatever can help. Disconnect from work, we talked about that. Try to disconnect from COVID-19 news and media. I know when this first started, it was in the background, you know, every day. We need to keep educated. We need to, you know, keep updated, but we also need to disconnect from that for a while to take care of ourselves. Have a sense of humor. Laughter, humor therapy is awesome. That releases stress and releases a whole bunch of, endorphins. Go for your annual checkups and your routine screening. And please, you know, if needed, it's okay to seek professional help for yourself or counseling. We are imperfect human beings, and, you know, again, we have to practice what we preach. If that's a part of our self-care, then that's what we need to do. I wrote a blog for the School of Nursing, and I entitled it SCPR, Self-Care Practice Resuscitation, and that is so true. That's what we need to do. So again, another group shout out. Are you holistically taking care of yourself, and do you practice what you preach?
Hey everyone, can you hear me? It's Cheryl.
Yeah.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hi, I just wanted to say that with this pandemic and all our restrictions, I certainly have taken more time for myself to address self-care in regards to making it a priority. I feel like there's so much that we don't have control of that I sort of focused on the things that we do have control of to make myself feel better. And many of those things you have offered as suggestions, such as eating habits, exercise, taking care of yourself that, you know, isn't part of a restriction. I have done a lot of food prepping over the last few months, which is something that I never felt I had time to do, and making exercise a priority. Again, something that I never felt was a priority. I think that making the time for doctor's appointments and follow-ups, even if they're telehealth visits, was certainly helpful, and it certainly made me feel like I was on track, which overall made me feel that I'm somewhat in control. And I just lost sight of that. I think I really didn't realize how much I had lost sight of that with all the promotion of what goes on, you know, at the School of Nursing, and our constant demands, whether it's, you know, interviewing students, the coursework, new faculty meetings, our clinical work. So I think it's been very helpful to take a step back during COVID-19 and to say, I can't control all of this around me, but what I can control actually makes me feel better. And I found that to be super helpful over the last few months.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's really excellent. And I think the pandemic really does, shake you to the core and really make you understand, have that insight as to how important it really is to take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself first, you're not going to be in a good state to take care of other people. You're just not. So this is really important. And hopefully nurses will start taking, better care of themselves. Me too. I mean, there's things we need to work on, and you just do. You just make that effort to do it. And you just got to start somewhere. So thank you for sharing that, Cheryl. We talk, I see a lot out there about mindfulness and being mindful and mindfulness and self-care. And mindfulness is just really teaching yourself to be more aware of your body, mind, spirit, and environment. What are you feeling? What changes need to be done? Being in the present moment, being here and now and enjoying the moment. I'm trying to stay focused regarding where to place your attention. Being embodied, that means really trying to bring your mind and bodies together, because remember, we're more than just the sum of our parts. And really being accepting. So accepting self and others. And again, we're imperfect beings in need of love, care, compassion, and connection. We just are. Nobody's perfect. So that forgiveness of self and others and just being accepting of yourself and others is really important. John Kabat-Zinn, if you're interested in learning more about mindfulness, is a mindfulness guru. He is absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of resources out there. I did put a link in here to a video. I won't have time to show it for this presentation, but it's there if you're interested. It's really an excellent resource. Simple mindfulness techniques and resources. So mindful breathing, I put a link here for a mindful breathing exercise that I found on YouTube. That's really important. How many people even know you're breathing through the day? To take that deep breath and really, ground yourself with some good deep breathing exercises. Mindful immersion activities. You can start doing little things to be mindfulness, like even brushing your teeth. How many of us get up in the morning and it's just a routine thing? You get up, you throw toothpaste on your brush, you brush your teeth, you don't taste it, you don't feel yourself brushing your teeth. It's just this mindless act that you do. But if you take, time to watch the toothpaste go on the brush, feel the cold water, feel the toothbrush on your gums and your teeth, taste the toothpaste, that's being mindful. Washing dishes, same things, feeling the soap, the bubbles, the smell, whatever, take time to really try to be mindful and present when we're doing these things. There was a popular teaching kind of technique for being mindful is eating a raisin. This can be done with any kind of food really, but you take a raisin and you notice the texture, the smell, the color, you put it in your mouth, you notice the texture again, the taste and whatever, but you're really just trying again to be mindful about eating or what's going on. Mindful awareness and observation, that's that forest bathing again, just taking those moments to be in the present moment and enjoy the sunlight, the warmth of the sun, the fresh air, the smell, the birds, whatever. Same with mindfulness listening. Mindful appreciation, just being aware of being grateful for things. The next time you're in the supermarket and somebody packs your groceries for you, I mean, even if you say, thank you so much, you did a great job, sometimes you get a look like, what? I'm usually used to being yelled at. But just trying to spread that appreciation and compassion and gratefulness to others. I did list some mindfulness apps that are available if you wanted to, in your own time, go ahead and check those out. It's just a matter of testing these and really checking them out for yourself, because again, everybody has different likes. I developed this kind of holistic self-care plan. It's very, very simple, but this is what we can do just to start thinking about things. So as far as physical self-compassion, you know, think about an issue physically, and what kind of a new holistic self-care practice can you do to start supporting your physical self-compassion. Same with your mental, emotional self-compassion. What issue are you experiencing, and what kind of thing can you start to do to really help address that? Same with social and environmental, your spiritual self, really just to reflect on these things and what's going on with us now, and what kind of things can we do for ourselves to make these better. What is one area of holistic self-care that you can start working on today? Anybody, any ideas?
This is Meg. I need to do a better job of working on meditation and mindfulness. I've been working on it for a long time, but it's slipped. So I need to get back to that.
Yeah, thanks, Meg. I think, you know, as a school, we really try to do stuff to bring each other together. We'll have art nights, or, you know, kind of connecting. Those have kind of stopped because of COVID. UB they were offering yoga classes online. If you wanted to do that, there are, again, some free stuff out there, but I think it's taking that reflection piece that we just looked at in the slide prior, you know, those areas, what can we do better, and just do it. You know, I have a terrible habit of waking up in the morning at 6:30, taking a shower, coming in this den, and just working until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. I was eating breakfast here, dinner here, not busting a move. And, you know, now it's like, I'm gonna make my lunch. I go out on my porch, I eat my lunch, I watch my birds, I do whatever I can do. I come back in, I try to be done with work at 6 o'clock. I would take a walk with my husband after dinner, and just trying to stop those bad habits, you know, because one day we'll just run into another. So just think about something that you can do, whether it's drinking water, exercising, whatever it may be, just to help start in that self-care and that self-compassion. These were some resources that I found. The American Holistic Nurses Association has some excellent holistic approaches to mental health and well-being. They also offer some holistic stress management resources. The ANA has a COVID-19 resource center. They also offer a self-care package for nurses and a webinar series. I believe these are free. And Ohio State University has a Staying Calm and Well in the Midst of COVID-19 Storm webinar series, which is also very, very good. And these may be things that if you're in teaching or, you know, have staff or whatever, you can share these with them also. Of course, you know, in light of the pandemic and the stressors that we're all feeling, and the worry about depression and suicide rates among nurses, you know, if you or someone you know is overwhelmed by sadness, depression, anxiety, or hopelessness, here are some resources that are available. Holistic nursing interventions and modalities. There's a lot of different things you can try. A lot of this is just being open-minded, and again, some of these are they're not for everybody, but there is something there for everybody. Anywhere from acupuncture, aromatherapy, art therapy, exercise, guided imagery, healing touch, humor, laughter, journaling, massage, meditation, music and sound therapy, Reiki, reflexology, that self-reflection piece. There's a lot of different modalities and interventions that you can try for yourself to see if any of these work to help. I love this video. This is a self-reflection video. It's called Path of the Healer by Dr. Arian, and the link to this is here. It's almost 6 minutes, and it's for healers, and it's absolutely beautiful. So if you want to check this out and just give it a try, you can. I want us all to keep in mind that we are instruments of healing, and in stating that, you can't keep giving to others if you do not give to yourself first. It's like pouring water from a vessel. You can't just keep pouring and pouring without ever refilling it up, or it will eventually run dry. And finally, it's important for all of us to know that self-care is not selfish. We need to work on being in love with the person in the mirror who has been through so much, but we're still standing. So to, conclude this presentation, really, I want all of us to love, respect, honor, cherish, and compassionately take care of ourselves and each other, just as we love, respect, honor, cherish, and take compassionate care of those that are placed in the hands of our care. And with that being said, I don't know if anybody has any questions that we can answer or help with, or just general points of discussion.
I just want to say thank you for your time in presenting this, because sometimes we're told this or we know we should be doing this, and we just need that reality check to listen to it again. And, yes, we teach this in our classes. We talk to our first year students and tell them, you got to not only read, but you need to get out and walk or go on the elliptical or go on the treadmill or whatever. But we forget it ourselves because we're so immersed in trying to get everything done. Like you said, we forget about that. We forget about that we can become empty really quick. So thank you very, very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have anything to share? I was just wondering how many nurses have had any kind of education in self-care in school, in nursing school? Any courses or classes about how to take care of yourself?
Hi, Loralee. Yeah, I was lucky to have a lot of background with mindfulness, and I've been using it more than ever. I've been a COVID nurse on a COVID unit the last few months, and I'm a new nurse myself. I graduated last year, so barely finishing orientation and finally getting that confidence. This all happened, so I've been using it, and there's a lot of new normals that take adjusting, but I'm glad I've had that background.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And, I know I'm dating myself. I mean, I graduated from nursing school in the 1980s, and we certainly did not learn about self-care or holistic stuff or anything like that. So, we're pretty tough cookies. We know what to do. We know what we need to do. And, it's great that mindfulness exposure that you had is carrying on with you now, especially in times like this. I mean, that's so important. It's so good to see you. And, thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing.
I'm going to add in that I went to UB from 76 to 80. So obviously mindfulness probably wasn't even around at that time, but I had a phenomenal instructor, Dr. Hyman, Clarice Lechner Hyman at that time. And I think she probably practiced this in her own way with us as students. So I had at least a role model, someone that showed caring and compassion and gave and had us, kind of look at what we were doing as students as well. So that was kind of a good memory from nursing school.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, well, if no one else has any questions, I think now is a perfect time to wrap up. We're just about to hit noon. I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who joined us today, and a special thank you to our presenter, Loralee. I think we all learned a little bit more about how we can take care of ourselves, which is definitely very needed right now. As a reminder, we will be following up with an email. I'm going to have the recording to this whole conversation, as well as Loralee's presentation and some other links that she referenced so that we can reference them after the fact, and you can feel free to share that with any of your colleagues or friends and family as well. And if you do have any unanswered questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. You can respond to the email that I'm sending out later today, or you can email me directly at graceger@buffalo.edu. And I'll definitely get in touch with the response, whether we have to pull in Loralee or someone else from our school nursing team. But that is everything we have for you today. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I look forward to connecting again soon. Thanks, everyone.
Yes,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much, everyone. Thank you.
Good to see you all.